I got absolutely punished by Blade Phantom, the final boss of the demo. But with a little help from Asmongold, I was able to beat the game pretty easily. It's actually not that difficult once you know the trick, which I'll share in the video, so keep watching. The first Berserker Khazan is a new anime style, Souls-like game. Now, Souls-like games are well known for their unforgiving combat mechanics, and Khazan is no exception. The first and only Souls-like game I ever played was Sekiro when it came out in 2019. Ever since then, I haven't played any other Souls game, but if you've ever played one, you'll know the tough love we have for the genre. Sure, Souls-like games are difficult for new players, but what does it mean for Khazan? Is it a difficult game? Are the bosses challenging or too difficult for beginners? What about the overall gameplay? What about the story and lore of the game? Before I answer all of these questions, which I will do purely based on my experience with the game, I'd like to thank all of my subscribers. You are the best people on earth. I truly want to grow this channel, and your support means the world to me. If you're new here, no worries, I have faith in you guys. Please like and subscribe. I post weekly, gathering news from YouTube and other sources, so you don't have to. It's a challenge to manage alongside my day job, so your support is truly appreciated. Hey, I'm Bit, and this is EveryBit-Game. The joy and satisfaction of beating a level or boss in Souls-like games is unmatched by any other genre. Sure, Khazan is a difficult game for new players, but it's not impossible. In my experience, as someone who doesn't have much prior experience with Souls-like games, I struggled with the game at first. However, after just a couple of hours of playing, I was able to clear the levels and beat the bosses quite quickly. But don't get me wrong, I've only played the demo, and who knows how the full game will turn out. However, the game does give you the option to choose between easy and normal difficulty modes. Just to be clear, I chose to play on normal difficulty, and my opinion is completely based on that. While it's difficult to say how much the overall game difficulty will be, based on the demo, we can definitely discuss the graphics, boss fights, and overall gameplay. Let's begin with the visuals because that's what makes the first impression. The game has been developed in Unreal Engine 4, and despite being an anime-styled game, I think it looks fantastic. I really appreciate the devs for blending realistic and anime art styles, rather than going with something similar to Genshin or Wuthering Waves. This choice not only maintains the look and feel of a Souls game, but also sets it apart from any other anime game available on the market right now. I love the aesthetics of the game. When it comes to gear and weapons, they've already displayed a few in the demo, and they all look awesome. In terms of weapons, you have the option to dual-wield a sword and an axe. Then, there's the Berserker Special, the iconic greatsword from DNF, and last but not least, spears. While dual-wielding has a shorter range, it gives you higher attack speed. The greatsword deals a lot of damage with decent range, but reduces your attack speed. And obviously, the spear gives you the best range out of the three and deals decent damage. When it comes to combat, you have almost all the options you'd expect from a Souls-like game. To sum it up, you can perform light, heavy, and charged attacks. Yes, you can dodge, parry, and counter. And yes, you also have spells and combos, which you can unlock through the skill tree. The tree is divided into 5 sections, but it's quite simple and easy to understand. You can also perform drop attacks and surprise attacks to take down enemies with a single precise sweep. And it works on yetis and bears as well. Speaking of which, while there are 2 major bosses in the demo, which we'll discuss in a bit, the first fights with the Yeti, Grizzly, and this swordsman were also quite challenging from a new player's perspective. In the demo, you get to fight 4 or 5 different Yetis, 2 bears, and 2 wild boars. For regular mobs, we have foot soldiers, archers, a bunch of monkeys, packs of wolves, and more. While fighting more than one soldier is a challenge in itself, the steep blind spots make sure to keep you on your toes at all times. Throughout my initial gameplay of Khazan, the soldiers weren't much of a challenge, but this big boy here. Oh, I hated him so much. I like figuring out my games on my own, but I died to him 10 times. That's when I decided enough was enough and opened up my browser. I went straight to Osmongold's video, but I only watched the part where he fought the same guy because I didn't want any spoilers. After watching it, I knew I was ready. I went back to the big boy and showed him his place after 5 more attempts, that is. Okay, I admit it. I suck at Souls games. But thanks to Asmon, the game became way easier from there. Nothing was much of a challenge until the first boss appeared. By this point, I had beaten so many Yetis on my way without much effort, so I was confident. Little did I know, this dude had a few more additional attacks under his furry armpits, which were okay. But how is someone supposed to dodge this mountain? Apparently, as you may have figured out already, it took me a few 10 more attempts to defeat him, but I just can't express how good it felt defeating him. It was so satisfying and totally worth it. The next boss we face is Phantom Blade. Before I talk about the fight, let me set the context first. The story is set in the Dungeon Fighter universe, where Khazan was a great general and hero of the nation who saved the empire from the fearsome Berserker dragon. However, the people around him envied him and falsely branded him a traitor. As a result, he was exiled with severed tendons in both arms. That's where the game begins. The whole lore of the game revolves around how Khazan makes a pact with Phantom Blade and seeks revenge for his sufferings. Phantom Blade is an entity made up of multiple souls, driven by an endless hunger for strength, searching for a formidable vessel to embody its will. In this case, it's Khazan. To sign this pact, Khazan first had to defeat Phantom Blade, who was trying to take control of his body and soul in the first place. That's where the battle between the two happens. It surely took countless attempts, but I figured it out in the end. Hey, don't judge me. Even Asmon failed to defeat him. It's actually quite easy once you figure it out. Apparently, Blade Phantom is not a boss you fight from afar. He's a close combat boss. Sure, he does have some moves that will require you to take a step back, but before he cools down, you can easily close the gap and land 1 or 2 attacks on him. Staying close does not allow him to regain his stamina as he keeps attacking, which, if you dodge perfectly, lets you land your hits easily. When his stamina is nearly depleted, he will charge with a spear, and if you parry it at the right moment, he'll go down on his knees. That's when you can deliver the deadly blow. The demo and pre-orders are available for all platforms right now at the time of recording this video, and the full release is set for March 27, 2025. And if you're upset because of a potato PC, cheer up! It can run on potatoes as well. All you need is 16 GB of RAM and at least an iGPU. So, will you be playing Khazan? Let me know in the comments below. Also, I really want this channel to grow so that more of us could share our opinion about games here and enjoy them together. So what are you waiting for? Like and subscribe. Let's enjoy our games together. After all, games are more fun when played together, and every bit of it. See you in the next video.